Hello. Made it on, though only for the last little bit of Thursday. We're going to fool around doing some more Godot Engine stuff. I wonder if I can get away with making this smaller. Let's find out. We'll keep doing that until YouTube cannot keep the stream going. And yeah, it's a busy day in this way and that. I'm expecting a cup of coffee and Chad. I am expecting FedEx to show up and bang on my door because I am getting more diffusers for my room. And that should be interesting. I also need to get paint because everything in here is painted a shade of flat black. And getting those diffusers, they're Oralex ones, the diffusers, and the only way to get them with any reasonable cheapness is to have them come in white. Otherwise, you can get them in like fancy red or pretend carbon fiber, and they're way the heck more expensive. So you got to paint them yourself. Now let us see what we can see and see whether I can't do something with this in the limited amount of time that I've got, because we're playing with pretend megastructures. That's where I left off. Oh, and I've got a upgrade to do for the audio, namely playing it through stream so as people can actually hear it. And here's where we left off on Tuesday. So I'm going to, let's see, boot it over. We have rearranged this so that it doesn't instantly kill you just to touch these things, but I am still quite interested in finding out where my megastructure is at. Because in theory, I have some kind of megastructure around here somewhere. However, maybe this one doesn't. So where I'm at today is experimenting with something else rather than what I originally tried for these megastructures. Because here's the thing. We can restart that. Eventually it'll show me one of the megastructures. I've got this stuff working just fine. Oh. We've also got mega numbers of bots and mega numbers of asteroids. And everything's kind of just all derping around here. But the question becomes, where is my megastructure of far too many boxes? Because that's the trick. The idea with the megastructure concept is as follows. These are all instanced. Like we look off into the distance, it looks very much like there's just a endless asteroid field fading off into blur. And as we move around, we will in fact find that anything you see you can get to, whether it's a bot, one of these little colored balls, or an asteroid. And the glowing red thing that chases you, that also is in a position, but it is in a world position rather than in a world space position, meaning the thing that glows and chases you when you shoot asteroids like this. I'll see if I can't go back towards it again. Well, that is in a sort of overall space, meaning the world is only so big, and all of these things sort of repeat. I'm looking off in the distance at examples of other ones. There's multiple bots in every direction. You see them all. Looks like there's millions and millions and millions of things. It's really not. There's only a certain number of them. They're in a set space. I've got something flashing over here. Interesting. They're in a set space, and there's instances of everything in that space copied in every direction, because the rendering engine can do that. Technically, the physics engine can do that too, but I'm not worrying about that. So you can continue to go in a direction, and it seems like you just get endless numbers of these little colored moving balls that you're supposed to find, and infinite numbers of all of these things. Oh, a noisy section, I see. And over here we have another dense with blinking, beeping lights. But when I say megastructures, what I mean is there's objects which bumped into me too hard. There's objects that don't follow those rules. Where if I go off in some direction very fast like this. Oh, no, I went too fast and killed myself. Okay, so you want to try to avoid doing that. But if you go off in some direction, see, I can hit escape and start over again with fewer of them. And at this point I can go past this and just find other ones much like it. You can sort of see them off in the distance. And it seems like I'm going a great long distance, but all I'm doing is wrapping around the size of the world. However, there are also megastructures. Those don't follow the same rules. And I'm thinking I'll fool with that a little bit today, and we'll see what that's like. So here's how I'm starting it. In fact, it looks like I can space this out this way too. It will let me do this. So what we're doing is repeatedly instantiating these cubes, and the cubes are following a thing called usize and block size. And producing a large number of objects that are sort of randomly picked. It's procedurally generated off of one of the textures. Specifically, it's the texture that you have that we're using. But the thing is, the way I'm doing this, and partly this is because I'm starting at a really high level, I wanted to test out what it was like when it generated the structure, but then also had a high level and a lot of other objects. I wanted to see what kind of frame rate I got, so on and so forth. But it's proving too difficult to go and find where the structure is. And when I do find where the structure is, Typically, it is just lots of boxes overlapping each other. So the next thing to do is figure out how to alter that. So what we're doing is using random numbers. Oh yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing. Cube position equals new vector 3, and then I'm just reading off of the texture and multiplying it by stuff. We could be iterating along things, and that would make objects go way off into the distance. There's a lot of possible things that I can do here. So, and then yeah, we're not doing these because that's just making stuff in one place. But what we're doing is looping this a bunch of times. I started it with while universe counter is also less than level, which would make there be much fewer for lower levels, and it would get more and more complicated as you went. One of the things that's worth using is world size. So let's dial this right back to where we started. U size equals 1, block size equals 0.5. This ought to produce a object that is very close, just like this asteroid is. And stuff will bounce off of the object. It's not a rigid body, it's a fixed thing. However, right now I don't see it. And that's how this has been going, is I have been simply taking the randomly selected texture off the actual counterpart and using that as my random source. But one of the things that I could do is select it based on what level you're at which point it would start. So let's see. So let's see what would happen if we did it by the index instead. So I'm going to go to Finder and Godot Projects and Counterpart. And when we've got this here, what that means is we can go and look in texture. And here's where we start. So we could select a texture literally by name, if one of them seemed particularly suitable. For instance, here's one we could pick. It has a lot of white to it, so many of the pixels would be 255, 255, 255, but not all of them. Probably the very first one, if it's alphabetical, would be this one. That doesn't have a lot of variation to it. We could try to pick something like, for instance, this one has numerous colors in it and is mostly dark. The thing about these textures is they are wrapping textures. So I could have essentially an infinite space by just having it wrap. The catch to that is it's not a 3D wrapping texture. It's a 2D wrapping texture. So for placing objects in 3D space rather than only 2D space, then I don't get to make that wrap. Instead, an earlier version of this, I had an instance above and below, and it was just going to do that. But I dialed that back instead. And currently we're using the colors to offset positioning And again, we are randomly selecting from these to produce what we end up seeing. Now, the way that works is if this is being plotted as a position in 3D space specified by the R, G, and B values of each pixel, which is what we're doing, something like this is going to produce sort of a line. Imagine it's just the color and then the darkness goes all the way to black. What we're going to see is a line in space that is going from 0, 0, 0 all the way to the brightest of greens, and all of these other dots, rather than being positioned, it's like the Final Cut or whatever video editor spectral plot of where all of those color values reside. And so that this particular one simply makes a line in space. If you've got ones where there's multiple shades of things, like that one's kind of interesting, that's a assortment of different lines in space. And cool though this is, it leads to things like this. With this one, we have an enormous amount of objects that are all being placed in the same place, because almost all the pixels are just that color. If I was to sort of iterate, figure out how many pixels are in that object, and basically, for instance, draw this as a sort of grid in world space, and then offset each of those within the grid position, then this would be evenly spaced boxes for the most part, because most of them will be the same offset from what the grid would be. Whereas if we go to, I keep being jumpy because I know that I'm supposed to be getting delivery. So that's basically two colors in a line. Oh, hang on. I better know what that is. Bingo. Ta-da! We'll see if they got smashed. But you don't have to see that right now. Fucking box is totally opening. Alrighty, now I can focus a little better. I knew that was going to happen. Like the way my brain works, if I know somebody is going to bring a box to my door or come in or something like that, I can't function until the thing has happened. My brain entirely goes towards thing going to happen, thing going to happen. And now I can focus. Or at least focus a little bit. We'll see how well I can focus. I'm kind of looking at my textures here. So there's another one where the random values are almost all exactly the same number. So here's an amusing thought. I know that we have this. I know that that is a thing. I'm going to scroll up a little here and set our level to a low level so that I can see what the object is when it's created. And we're going to make the object relatively small. And then I'm going to try some variations. See, we've got an object. This is what we call a megastructure. Bonk. It just so happens to be massively overlapping boxes, so that's very inefficient. And it pretty much just goes to here. So we have a very large amount of polygons, but they're not arranged usefully. And you can see that's exactly the thing I was telling you about. This is the texture called Illuminate, and basically it's just made a big line. And the textures are all a given size, but they're just all massively overlapping. That's why I have so much Z fighting. But it is still sort of a megastructure. And if I run again, I'll get a different one, most likely. Oh yeah, shades of green. Yep. And so that is what we are looking at. See, they all kind of overlap. There are many more values in this one, but they're still within this region. They're still within that range. So that has a lot of Z fighting, because a lot of them are exactly the same position, but it also has a lot of different positions. And as long as I'm fooling with this, I remain interested in what I can do to make a megastructure that doesn't just only overlap. So here's how we're doing that. Universe image, decompress, we're recycling the player image. That's as good a thing to do as any. I could just make a different one, but I have many possible player images, so that does produce potentially variety. And universe limit, that's the length of our extreme. Oh hey, here's something amusing that I can do. Let's do this to see what universe limit was. So we're assigning this and then immediately going and assigning it again. Presumably that will give us a number, and it'll immediately show what the number is. So we've got another megastructure here, and it's not really the level we're at, but it does show us that we have it's actually going to be 49,000 times as many squares as are in the cube, or the polygon that we're making. So no wonder it's doing Z fighting. There's thousands of things all overlapping each other. And that's amusing, and it tells us something useful. It also tells us that we probably don't need to have as many of those, but we seem to be able to run with it just fine. There are more polygons in those spheres, or at least there's a comparable number of polygons in those spheres. So here's the thing. We're doing a universe counter. We're doing obelisk and position. Obelisk is the size of the universe, but we could make it just sort of step around in every direction by the spacing. It will still, we're still going to get some overlap, I think. But here's how that would work. What if every time we make a cube, we also offset by something comparable to that same cube? So here's our counter. We're counting that 49,000 or however many it is, but instead we're going to do a vector 3 out here. I wonder whether I've got position somewhere. I feel like that's not a good choice for a name. So we were calling it megastructure. And we may as well start it at 0, because I might be able to figure out better things to do with that later. You can use to tape 6 if you want. They're all a little bit different. Soon enough, there's going to be a 2 tape 9, but you still get to use 2 tape 8 or even 7 if you want. I do try to improve them, but that's also simply changing them. And maybe you'd like an earlier version. So here's what we're going to do. Block size can be 1 for starters. And then we're going to kind of do a wandering thing. This is not dissimilar to the random thing called Drunkard's Walk, where we're doing random numbers here. And the way that's set up, it's actually going we're going to do that. Is that correct? And then what we need to do is some kind of funky offset. So what we can do, we're going to be doing a select case statement. Because what I'm looking to do is we're making these boxes in various sizes and shapes. The fact that it's a randomness means that it goes in a direction. And what I'm thinking is I can sort of begin offsetting it by one of those ratios based on another vaguely random factor. And we could do the randomish factor by, see, that's going to be byte, so pretty sure that's just an int-like thing. And we're going to not turn these into floats, but we're going to use all of them. Oh, that's not the right thing to do at all. Give me a second. And in fact, we can even multiply it because this is generating a other random number out of what was already random numbers. These will quickly bear no resemblance to where we started. So what we're going to do is put that into a set of parentheses. This is now going to become an integer style number that is potentially very, very large. And then we're going to do a modulus function. So mod something like mod 6. And then no, it's a switch statement. Am I using the right style for that? Maybe it actually prefers a semicolon. Maybe it doesn't want anything. Maybe it needs to be in brackets. I keep forgetting how to do the simplest things, but whatever. That might be more like it, or perhaps not. I may have to remind myself of how to do all this. Well, it didn't like that one bit. Megapause. It keeps trying to fill stuff in, but it's not doing a good job. Okay, and now we don't have complaints, so presumably it's happier now, although my spacing still might be bad. Can we make the spacing look better? Let's find out. And then the rest of this is just duplicating this and changing the forms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Probably can't ever get to 6. So what I'll do is I'll skip that. And then we'll always get that. And then we'll skip this. So here's what we do. And then some of these become minuses, not pluses. And then we're going to offset this in hopes that this XYZ fits. Oh. Now, this may or may not run. We'll find out real quick. But we can run it and see if anything useful happens. And we've still got a little bit of Z fighting. But I'll tell you what else we've got. We now have something that's acting a little bit more like a megastructure. I believe it started here and then sort of went on from there. We've still got entirely too much overlap, but it is offsetting every step of the way, and so it's going in a funny direction. And we've even got some spaces, so my idea was that this was going to produce. Oh, see, interesting. We've got a Z fighting here, and then another thing there. And then our megastructure sort of keeps going. It's going this direction. Then we got a bunch of spaces. So if this was being made into a spaceship, what you would be doing is having it scale in amusing ways and go in different directions. It's all kind of sticking in one direction. But effectively, we've got something that's sort of like a megastructure. It should continue going. And sure enough, the more we go, the more we see it's really kind of overlapping a lot, but we can continue to follow the path of this, and it's just going off in a direction. And it went over to here, and then it seems to be going up and over and around. And although it has lots of spaces in it and it's a pretty megastructure, this is basically what I had in mind in a very rudimentary sense. We've produced generated objects, which we seem to have a lot of similar colors here. And they all tend to go in this direction. I'm going to want to use better textures for this, but no matter, we'll get around to that. And it kind of just goes and goes and goes and goes. Meanwhile, we have an endless supply of asteroids, an endless supply of bots, but that is simply because they're wrapping. We're actually seeing the same asteroids over and over, but we can continue to follow this structure pretty much indefinitely, because there's that much of it. So that was based off of the texture Yowza. Public interview where? This is public. You're probably expecting that I am more significant than I am. Ooh. Okay, this one had 87,000. Oh, look. Our glowy blinky guy is down there illuminating part of the megastructure. It never goes up. Also, it does not seem to connect. And you know, some of the reason for that is our positionings and repositionings are essentially random. They're not really random, but they're not regular. Here we have Mr. Dangerous illuminating parts of the structure, which goes down in this direction. Boop. So the idea is being able to have big spaceship-like things off in space, perhaps far away from where you start, so that if you're going in a direction, you might come across one of these just filling up all space. That said, that is not everything I would wish. So here are some other possibilities. If we reshuffle these, X, Y, Z, and then minus X and minus y and minus z. That's now acting a little bit like it's a sequential thing. And rather than mega direction being this semi-random thing, we could set it up out here, and indeed we can randomize it somewhat. We can do this to it. There. Now it's starting out in a relatively randomized way, except for, well, hang on a moment. Are we even reading? Nope, that's within the while statement. So that doesn't actually mean anything. So we might just as well, since we don't have a random number from there, we'll start it out at 0. Then here's where we'll put in our modulus function, making it fit within this. So what's going on now is it's now going around sort of in loops, but still reading the same thing. Or we could make it choose the largest direction. I think it failed to draw that time. Well, that's funny. What's going on there? Maybe it doesn't like starting out at 0. If we started out at 1, and then we're incrementing it, and then the switch statement does this stuff, and I don't believe mega direction actually is being calculated here. Alrighty, let's see what we got. Ah, okay, it made something. So the deal with this now is, now we have a kind of mega structure, but it's tending to sit in the same place because the randomization gives me the occasional offset thing where, like, that's going to be a single object. But we've also got 49,000 other things that just ended up sitting in about the same space because they were all offsetting in the same directions. So that's where everything mostly sits. So there's that. We got it placing stuff that's kind of connected, but there's an awful lot of overlap here still. But also, that doesn't seem to have a collider, does it? Do you have a collider? No, that's not a collider. I'm thinking it's freaking out because there are too many objects in the same space. So that's pretty unsatisfactory. Note that if we do this particular thing, some of those problems immediately go away because we are always offsetting in a direction. See? Interestingly, we started here. And this is not unlike a thing that I had before, where my blocks just went in a direction because they're only being offsetted in one direction. So this is what we get. I did not realize that plus was up, but it is. And so now we've got a proper megastructure, it's just not very pretty. And when I say megastructure, I am not fooling, because it's 40,000 blocks. And you can get to the end of it. We're going to get to the end of it. But it'll take a while. Oh, look, there's a space between things. Again, if the positions only increment in one direction, then this happens. We get to follow it, and we're basically looping through the universe over and over again, but this object, this is persistent. This is going to be placed the same way anytime. Like if you needed to go to a particular location on here, it could take a half an hour to fly there. Only trouble is it's not a very good megastructure because it's a little bit too random and not particularly gratifying. However, since it's more spaced out, it's doing a better job of having collision. We can collide with it as we continue to go. And it's sort of programmatically generated by the texture. The texture is gritty green. And so what gritty green means is everything is being offset by about the same amount, same direction. Gritty means there's some departures in the texture. And we've been following it in this direction for ages. But what we can also do is play the game. That is gritty green. At least I'm pretty sure it is. Oh, maybe I've just gone so far that can't be right though. That can't be true. Also, I'm not getting my sound working properly. Yeah, that's very interesting. I honestly don't know quite what's happened. It's supposed to be looping. Maybe it's just a factor of... Is this gritty green? Interesting. So we've taken this too far somehow. We're still getting collision on the object. But for whatever reason, the game's not functioning the way it should. See, I fire and it goes in a direction, that direction. Something's gone wrong. Could it be that... No, that's called megapause. Now I'm figuring out what is causing it to do that. So let's try this again. Slightly different randomness. And here is our new megastructure, which also goes off in some direction or other. might that be? Well, we've got a lot of overlap. So the texture yaw is called that because it has a bunch of different colors, aggressively different colors in different places. So probably what we've got here is the structure goes up in this direction. And for some reason my shots are not acting the way I thought, so that's weird. Well, if I was meant to go this direction, what would happen? Oh yeah, no, something's not working. So here is the next question. If you only make 100 cubes, does it now work okay? Okay, that's better. Morocco. So here's another offset where we've got these big blocks and they're going off in a direction, but now they stop at 100. So I go to here and that's the end. And if we don't have 47 million of these blocks, let's see if we can bounce. Okay, that worked. If we don't have so many damn cubes, then the game functions properly again. But that was what was happening before, is I was flying in a direction and then trying to use the functionality of the actual game. Okay, they say go that way. That's the one. Oh, missed ya. Where'd he go? Haha. That means that's the one. It fired back at me. And the next level interesting, okay. Here's the next level, and it is probably only added to the number of blocks, because I don't think I have anything that removes them yet. Although I could be wrong, maybe it does. But yeah, same deal on restart. We're producing these blocks. And it's a matter of figuring out how to make them be a cool megastructure in various places. And what that's going to be like. That's not the one I'm looking for, but maybe it knows where to go. It says that way. And that's the one. I don't know why it's called gear. Why is it called gear? Ah, because it has circular patterns on it. And then hit escape. And I think we're continuing to just have more blocks added every time. See a little bit of Z fighting there. So we're starting down here and we tend to be going up in a direction because I have all the offsets only going in one direction. Oh, I've crashed into a giant rock. You know what? Let us get back into the coding section. So yeah. This made it go in a direction. However, and I'm happy it's able to do that. And we can also make the block size be larger or not even. Or if the direction is U size rather than block size, then it will be different. Let's see what we get. XYZ, XYZ. There, now it can go in different directions, and we can get back to something more amusing, like for instance, we'll just offset a little bit more. We'll just take that and we'll modulus that. So it'll be somewhat more regular, but it'll also be offset by larger than just one. And this should make a bunch of blocks in all sorts of, well, maybe not. No, it should still be all sorts of directions. Yeah, see, there we go. So now our megastructure world is in all sorts of directions. And so basically we have sort of objects in space. They don't necessarily add up. They don't necessarily connect. They're all kind of in one direction as well. I believe these ones tend to be downwards rather than anywhere else. But the way this works, now the game can be played, but we've also got these obelisks everywhere. Now, that doesn't mean I've got it set up so if you go a direction, it stays. But what we do at least have is functioning colliders, since these are basically just one block, and stuff in various directions. So that's kind of neat. Now if I can go and find some of these dots, what we can do is see whether we continue adding more. And again, this is not 87,000. Oh, I know what that one is. Oh, but it says to go that away, so that's not actually the one I'm looking for. Ah, here we go. That's the one. And then when I do this again, where'd you go? And it's a darker one. There it is. And hit escape to restart. Here we are on another level, and in theory, it's added even more blocks. Or maybe it's just redone the ones that were there. I think we may have blanked them and started over. So now among the asteroids, we've got these walls, or towers, and this is Z-fighting. This means those were in the same place. But this one's not Z-fighting at all. So we end up with stuff like that floating in space. And I don't know whether we have more in any particular direction. So there's a couple of ways to deal with some of this stuff. And one of the ways is to try to make it so hang on. Now we're making all the blocks again. But maybe we don't even want to do this. So if we're not even having mega direction or switch, because that is not actually capable of doing it quite the way I want. Well, we can still do certain things, like for instance, so let's see. We can run this and then it'll just make them all be in the same place, but it should at least show me what universe limit is. So that's typically going to be about 49,000. We're going to have one block, which is pretty much just a giant pile of the same thing all over again. This is what bamboo belts looks like when it's literally all in the same place. That actually kind of looks like a giant spaceship. It's just not very good. It's being generated by just everything sits in the same location, but all the sizes are different because it's drawing from the color of the pixels that we're in. But that gives me the 49,000. Square root of that is 221. Square root of that is 14. So I feel like maybe what I'm looking at is all these objects can be in a grid that is about 14 by 14 by 14. That can't be right though. Hello there. Creepy thing. Oh, and we have too many objects, so this is not... That thing is very nearby, apparently. There he is. Yeah, with this many objects, the game doesn't play properly. Although points for still being able to bounce off of that. 49,000. So... mega float x equals trying to figure out how this is going to go. So total amount, well, let's just go from something. We'll just go from something. So it's going to be a vector 3, so I can use float. Let's see, how is this going to work out? Well, thing is, I feel like I'm going to want that to be elsewhere. So this is the gist of what I'm looking to do with this nonsense. Except for maybe, so let's assume that 10 is about the value. Yeah, so there's some possibility that this will place things on a grid. We can't but try. Very well, it placed things in a giant cube, but without very much difference in its positioning. And I'll tell you why. It's because I'm just using the raw values for that. And I'm not actually spacing them out the way they could be. And here's how you do that. Now that's universe counter kind of staggering and going along. And that we do with usize. Oh, don't need extra parenthesis on that, do we? So if usize is lots bigger, that might be too much bigger though. I'm going to confirm that that was presumably too much bigger because now everything is too far away. So let's do it back. Also, that was going to be a one-sized. Let's see what we got now. Everything was going a little lower up, and that's not enough. But that's sort of the gist of things. It's just that it's not doing it very well. See, we've got some detail here. It's just a lot of overlap, that's all. So, back into the world of playing with the sizes. Let's make that be bigger. Aha, okay. So the idea is if all of these blocks, we could start making those smaller too. That would also help. But this is spacing things in a kind of way. feel like my calculations are not correct, but the concept is sort of holding up. Well, as long as that is so small that it's easy to reach, let's make block size be a lot smaller and see what kind of shape we're looking at when it's all spread out. Because you see, if we have this scale, kind of like this, well then U size, if U size gets larger, okay, now we've got megastructure. Although we're not colliding with them, but maybe that's just because there's too many of them. Yeah, now we've got a sort of it's a Blade Runner. Blade Runner Infinite City. PD. And we're also getting to see kind of how things are arranged. And we're also getting to see that we have run out of physics colliders. So that's something of a concern, but we can restrict the numbers of things later. Like the trick with this is that if I can get this to work properly, I only have to build them in the vicinity of where you start. So let's restart that again and see if it does anything different next time. It is not. So we have a very consistent behavior here. Regardless of what the actual thing is, it's spacing them out in this way. And the height is quite limited, but X and Y seem to be about the same. This probably means I'm running out of room before it goes down far enough. Well, we had a very consistent thing. Now I'm updating only one of the factors. Hey, we got Skyblock. So here's another form of megastructure. We can make all these blocks. Things seem to be stuck in the middle of them. It very much looks like Skyblock, meaning that the spacing of everything, there's a certain amount of variation, but the positioning is incredibly consistent, and that is because our positioning is not actually offset. If we scaled this just to be bigger and bigger, what would happen is it would stretch farther and farther out into space, and you wouldn't be able to see most of them. See, when it's this tightly packed, we can see everything. And again, no further spacing of these things. Also, I bet I don't have colliders and everything. Yeah, no colliders on that. Too many of these objects. In fact, we can tell that something is wrong because the shots aren't working properly. And I'm assuming that's just because I have too many things in here. So why don't we not bother with having the total number be universe length because the full collection of data in one of these textures is more than we need. Instead, we can pick a large but not unreasonable number, or maybe just a number that coincides with something we can use. So we'll call universe limit 1,000. Or let's actually, I can work this out from first principles. Oop. That's actually too many. So I can't do a 128 by 128 grid because it is too many. However, let's see what else we can do. 64 by 64 I think is also too many. So basically what I'm doing is I'm taking a number and cubing it, because that number of initial spaces, that number of initial positions is going to determine the locations of things, and then when we use usize, it just continues to scale up as it goes. And usize could be, for instance, world size. Now, am I actually... No, we do clear cubes when restarting, so that at least seems legit. How about 32 by 32? 1024. 32768. That's actually less than... We'll see. I'll be interested to see whether it runs under these circumstances. I'm going to say that indicates it doesn't. That's pretty though. So this is 32 by 32 by 32. The game doesn't run, but I can move around in it. And what I'm looking at... Well, hang on though. Is this really the 32 by 32 cube? Or is it not? So if it is, then some of this math is going to be different. So let's try this. 32. $1024. And 32768. So I might be completely off base here. Let's see what happens when we try that. It's not going to let things fire, but... Okay, I have a 2D grid here. Although I do like the fact that it's kind of placing me roughly in the middle of it. I wasn't expecting that. It's only this wide, but it is, and it's still disrupting things here. Wonder if I have any colliders. I can't tell. So the way this is, if I get something that is a nice distribution of things, what I can do is scale it up as much as I like. Oh, and some of them do have colliders. Good for them. So, 32, no bueno. Let's try 16 times 16 256 times 16 equals 4096. So that's 4,000 objects. And one of the parameters is just modulus. One of them is 256. I'm a little suspicious of that, though. Ooh, I've also got this factor in there. So what's happening is the X layers are just going from top to bottom, and then the Y layers are staggering, and then the Z layers are staggering on a different direction. And this is supposed to generate a cube shape. Let's see how close we came. Now I can't find it. Something happened. Although we got the game working again, so there's that. Oh, no, I see something. Okay, we have a funny distribution of objects here. So that's all well and good. But it can't be just those. There must be more. Alrighty, well then let's see what happens if we try something else. So modulus 16 means, yeah, so the here's how the distribution of this probably is going to work. Let's make it a little bit smaller and start playing with it. Also, we're no longer using mega direction for anything, so that's all well and good. And we're still doing funny things with the sizes of things, but that's fine. So 16 times U size, that means this goes up to like 160. That's 256 divided by 256, but it's going to be times 16 again, so we'll try that. And then 4096 is 0 to 1, but that's presumably also going to be times 16. Well, now let's see whether we get our basically cubical shape. We're not doing any further offsets. We're only trying to get it to draw a sort of grid. Maybe I need to make it smaller to make this render. Aha. I see a scattering of dudes. So I'm basically looking to see whether these... So I've made a mistake, but it's an easily fixed mistake. Let's make these 10 times their size. Now what do we got? Well, among other things, we've got things too far away to see. Puh, I stand corrected. No, they're not. That's not at all too far away to see. So here's what it looks like having all of this stuff laid out in a way where there's a certain amount of overlap, but not all that much. So how about half that size? And one of the things I'm going to want to do is figure out useful offsets for all this. And there is my roughly square look and field. And you can fly up inside this. Not only that, I do believe we're going to have collision because we don't have too many things to function. It would amuse me to have these take a better color than just that, but whatever. We clearly have this up and working. So one of the things going on here is the fact that these are giant cubes. Also, let me take a moment and look at chat. Soon enough, it's going to be dinner time, and I'm not going to go extra long. It's just that this is a thing. But yeah, you could convert world position to grid shell check for occupancy. Yes, you could. That would be a good thing. Physics Engine probably has a hard ceiling. I'm not running into a problem with the hard ceiling at this stage, though, because I'm doing a 16 by 16 grid now. Turns out you can do that. I can also not, now that this is working, I can firstly figure out my offsets more correctly, and then we can start inside here, but then we can start expanding it up to hilarious levels, perhaps after doing fun things with the texture or something. We shall see. So 256. Divided by 16. Okay. That stops me from needing to do this. And then that stops me from needing to do this. And this should still place things on that grid. So what I'm thinking about is how do I offset it in such a way that don't mind me running out of steam, running out of word. I am trying to figure out how to do a nested loop thing. Because the next thing I mean to do with this is check to see which of these are smallest and convert that to literal 1. Actually, no, I can't use 1. But it'll be something like it. So yeah, I'm looking to have it produce a bunch of seemingly flat planes. So let's see about that then. Or we could just get frisky. Shall we get frisky? We can make very large objects this way. It'll just be horrifying. But when did horrifying ever stop us? And the number of polys aren't going to be so great that it'll be completely unfunctional. There we go. Better put that back to 001, or indeed much less. There we go. Alrighty, this is going to be messy. Maybe it's not as messy as I thought. Maybe I'm inside the object. Maybe all the objects are so tiny because they were not the largest possible size. Let's try that again. See if anything crazy happens. Oh, okay, something crazy happened. So yeah. The thing that I just did caused all of the scales to be completely unreasonable. So we're going to back that back out again, but look at that. And yet, stuff bounces off of it. So yeah, we're going to take that back away again. That was a foolish thing. All I was trying to do was make it so different parameters got exaggerated. But we went a little too hard. So we'll pull this right back again. Have a quick look. Make it a little bit larger. If I make this be literal world size, we'll have enormous things. Here we don't. Here we have just sort of blocks that are showing up in various ways. We don't have anything very interesting as far as offsetting them. In fact, I don't believe they are offset. I think they're just different sizes. See, some of them are square, some of them are other shapes, some of them are tiny cubes, like this one. That tiny cube did weird things to the bounce. And yeah, the idea is I do not want this to look like skyblock. I'm going to be offsetting things, probably in the directions of the shape that they are. Because see, it's just making these traceries in this direction. And some of them are tiny objects because there's black pixels in there. That's what's causing that to be the tiny little square. When I multiplied it by itself, then it made it get crazy. This also means we can make giant megaships. Okay, so one of the things I would like to do before doing anything else, now that I have this, let's instantiate everything around us rather than sort of off in that direction. Looks safe enough to continue scaling up a bit. We can make the blocks a little bit bigger because that was really rather small. And we're going to be looking for what the correct offset for those positions are. That's going to mean Megapause gets offset by a factor of all this. So all components set to 1. Times usize. There. And then these end up being subtractions. Hang on, I can't do that, can I? I stand corrected. I can, but I have to reinstantiate it inside the while loop. We redo it each time. And then each of these factors gets subtracted. That should make it all be a different offset. And then scaling usize, or let's it could be times negative usize. And then this is still going to be offset. Oh, interesting though. Now I am successfully inside it, but only a little bit. I'm looking to offset it in such a way that I start literally inside the whole thing. Whereas instead I'm this close to the edge of it. So let's see what else we can do. And let's see, times. So now we're multiplying by usize times negative golden ratio, because we gotta love the golden ratio. Maybe that's even going to be correct. That was not at all correct. Cool, cool. So let's try that again. How about vector 1 times this. And we're redoing it each time. Okay, that should work, but perhaps it is not. Well, let's go back to negative 1.0. That should be the same as negative usize. Boom, okay, that worked. I'm still a little puzzled, but this feels like it is roughly in the middle of all the cubes. Interesting. Well, I tried going the other direction, so what happens if we are... Neat. Okay, the size of the blocks matters a lot, it seems. But I'm not actually at the center of the grid. This should not work. This should place me outside the grid. It did not. It changed nothing. That's very interesting. What's going on here? How about if we don't make it negative at all? Now what do we got? I am still sitting in the middle of the offset. This is weird. Maybe... Here's the thought. Here's a thought. Everything else has to be scaled. What about this? I don't know if I have to use parenthesis on this. I do think it's going to have to be a float. So usize is sort of the overall scaling of everything, and block size is how big stuff is able to get. The modulus is based on 16, so it goes from 16 to U size. So wouldn't the middle of it be 8 times U size? Ah, but that wasn't negative 8 times U size, was it? So now I am at the corner. That is the corner, and it's off in all of these directions. I think those are too far away to hit, or too far away to bounce off of these rocks. So much for me. Alrighty. So, in that case, negative 8 times U size should place me in the middle of that area. It did not. Alright, very interesting. It did not. In fact, I'm kind of far away from everything. Oh no, not as much as I thought. Okay, well that's cool. Let's try it again. Am I in the middle of it? No, I don't think I am. Let's scale everything down some more. Oh no, it quit. Let's scale everything down some more. 16. And block size should be really quite small. Ha, okay. So that's now 16. I can plainly see I'm way past the outside edge of it. And that's where it is. So what I'm trying to do is make it so that I spawn directly in the middle. And this looks to be a closer way of getting there. So negative 8 wasn't actually working. We can try negative 1 just to see what close to 0 gets you. Okay, that's producing a lot of really tiny ones. And then we start at negative 16 and then add 16 each of these ways. Maybe that'll make everything be higher. No, now I can't find it at all. Yes, I can. It's over there. And it's even farther away. Interesting. Well, let's go the opposite direction then. Positive 16. Oh, now we're in the middle of everything. Are those going to bounce? They are going to bounce off of things. Hey, hey. We have physics. We also have the ability to go in this direction before we're really quite in the middle of everything. Ooh, is that going to bounce off of things? Let's find out. I defy you, sir. Yep, it hit one of the things. It hit a object and it stopped. So, even smaller. Let's see. Well, that's larger. Let's see how close we can get to spawning in the middle of these structures. That's not very close at all. But they're now tiny size. So, logically, that's no longer going to do anything. And I'm just seeing how I can reposition this. So these positionings go to 16 always. Well, let's start from here. What do we got? Okay, now I don't see anything. That's kind of weird. Should I make them larger? I made them larger. I am sort of at the top corner. What happens if we subtract rather than add? Does that in fact do anything remotely helpful? Huh. Maybe Ghosts of Purple is just a very dark texture. Oh, no, there it is. No matter which way, it seems like it's down and to the side. That's farther away. That is farther away. Well, okay, one of the things I could play with is we're making vectors. Let's start by the vector position can be the object we're creating or magnified. This might be a little weird. Let's see what it does. Okay. We are spawning roughly at the edge of the space. Things are scattered around a lot more. These things are lined up a little more than I like. Well, if we can do that, what happens if we do it with negative? Okay, we do it with negative and they're farther away now. Positive was actually helping better. That's interesting. Indeed, Jonathan, indeed. Gosh, what am I gonna do? I really would like to get these to spawn where I want them. That would be nice. I would also like to be able to crop some of these things down so that there are two planes that are extremely large and then one plane that is small. I doubt that's going to be any use whatsoever, but we may as well try. Yeah, okay, that's way that direction. I'm more or less okay with where all of these objects are, but I'm a little disappointed nevertheless. So the way this is, we're going from 0 to world size and wrapping. And I'm looking to have the halfway into world size. Well, hang on. So yeah, if I can make, oh, let's make it even smaller. We keep making it smaller. It should be, well, actually, no. Hang on. If our base position has to do with world size, that's where it's going wrong. Ah, for a change, it is up rather than down. There's my grid at the top edge of the universe, just beyond reach. But our location is actually world size times 0.5. So if we're meant to start in the middle of that, interesting. So we have now started, we are now exactly at the bottom corner. That's actually useful. We weren't able to do that before. Meaning, that's where we start. So that seems correct. That's going to be top corner. Boom. Got there. So that is at the top corner this time. So there's our plus. Universe counter is going to be a factor of 16. So the other one is going to be a factor of 8, isn't it? 8 times U size. And that'll give us the end result. It ought to. Let's find out. let's start with, let's just instantiate it there. So that is our base. But then we also have to offset subtracting 8 times usize by each of these vectors. Surely I can just subtract or add. This shouldn't be this difficult. Not that it's difficult. It's not really difficult. I'm just looking for something more direct. Probably I don't need to do one of those. So minus vector 3. Oh, I can do this, can't I? 1. Oh, no, wait, I don't need to do new vector 3, 1 because you can just use it directly. It doesn't have to be new at all, but I do think I have parentheses that need to happen here. And then times 8 times usize is what that's going to be. Ooh, float. Boop. Alrighty. And now we appear to be 100% exactly in the middle of everything. Cool, cool. Which means each of these things could also be the size of the universe. So now we can't see any of them unless we go in effectively any direction. And we will presumably eventually come upon a ginormous object out here. It ain't happening just yet. Well, that was actually Ferrari yellow, so that makes them all very distinct. Let's see what happens if, oh, okay, here we go. Now we got something. Ghosts of purple. Indeed they are. However, those aren't as big as they might be, which seems kind of weird. Scale it like that. We have instantiated world size by now, yes? Presumably. Let's see what we keep seeing. Okay, ocean light blue. Well, that's all well and good. Those are very large objects, but all the same, they're really simply not far enough away. But I think I know what might need to happen there. Usize could also be a factor of 16. And if it is, then maybe we will end up seeing a universe where there aren't any blocks visible immediately. That said, there might be one at the center. might be able to go in a direction and arrive at one. Or perhaps not. I guess you never can tell, huh? Let's try again and see if it was just bad randomness. I see something. Okay, there's your megastructure. And we are approaching it. Boink. So arguably that is too large of a megastructure. It's an infinite wall, basically. Which is not to say I can't make use of an infinite wall. I just need to make it be textured more interestingly. Like, more needs to happen for this to be cool. But one thing we can do is seek the infinite wall and go up over it. It does have, like, physical reality bouncing off of it. And there's another megastructure. It's overhead. I do not know whether they coincide. And then one of the things I was looking to do was make these be planes rather than solids. And I can definitely make them look cooler than this, but they can certainly be not as big as this. It's larger than they need to be. They can be not as far out as that, so that's also doable. But then I'm going to go and make them thinner. They can all be like 1 unit thickness. And before I do that, I'm going to take a moment. I'm not really set up for entertaining people mid-break. I got to go and get my tacos thawing out properly. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Alrighty. Yeah, today is a day of bad planning, but I was able to spend a little time with you folks playing with the game. Another bad planning thing is it's actually quite cold in here because this doesn't get to be a running the fire day. I was out for too long. It wasn't really convenient to do. Speaking of convenient to do, let's see what we can... So, one thing I can do here is this. I can do another one of my switch statements and randomly select one of these. Well, I can randomly select one of those vectors with another pseudo-random number, but I can also simply seek out the smallest of each dimension. So let's see what we could do with that. And then I'll compare each of those by z. Hang on. Well, that makes no sense whatsoever, but at least it's a start. So if x is less than y, we keep y. If it's also less than z, then we keep z. Hang on, I don't need that paren there. And it's confused and doesn't know what I mean, but that's predictable. It's the usual autocorrect / AI thing of it thinks it knows what I'm up to, but it doesn't. That's how I know I'm doing it right. But that was enough to give it a boost. There we are. And if obelisk x is not less than obelisk y, then obelisk y is less than x. So we compare that to z. I'm also going to smudge some of these together, just so that it looks prettier to me. Now let's see what we got. Also, we made usize smaller. Okay. Bada boom. We have large panes. That's a large paint that doesn't have a collider. Oh, actually, yes it does, doesn't it? Not predictably, though. Well, seeing as we're making this tiny, have we made it too tiny? The thickness of that is equal to... Let's see, do things bounce off of that? Yes, you do. So in theory, what we can do is hide on the other side of one of these from the scary thing. Or indeed run away very fast. And then the remaining thing will be, seeing as we have these, I wonder whether I can angle them in interesting ways. They're still all in cardinal directions. Let's see. So cube scene instantiate, that's nothing but a box. We could have this be, what would happen if we had the obelisk be 16 rather than 1? 1 is indeed very small. We will force it to be a larger value. Ooh, hang on, we could have it be block size. What would that do? Perhaps not anything useful, but it is a scaling factor, and we're scaling it up to like world sizes. So if it was just that big, and then, well, obelisk is a vector 3. So if we somehow update cube position, not being megapause, but instead, do we have a rotation? Haha. Aha, aha, aha. So I don't know what my numbers are going to be, but we might be seeing something that looks amusing that way. We've got rotation. We've got smaller objects here, and we've got many of them. And they don't always collide, do they? How about now? Nope. That didn't have a collision. Or does it? Okay, it has a collision that way, but if I accelerate more, I can go right through it. I have a suspicion as to what I can do to make that work better. And I got about a half an hour before dinner, but on the bright side, when it's dinner time, I can like throw on a bathrobe to get a little bit warmer and be ready to go. So, cube, static body. Collision layer. Input. Physics interpolation. I may not be inheriting from something. Let's call physics interpolation on, and that should make it so I don't go straight through these anymore. It'll also make it run a little bit slower, but I've cut down the total number of these quite a bit from when I started. And then just for laughs, we're going to make block size be a lot bigger, 10 times bigger in fact. Now what do we got? Aha! We've got a glorious mess. The world is full of angular shapes. Delightful. And now I have run into an asteroid, so I'm bouncing off of the angular shapes in weird directions. Okay. So that's kind of interesting. It's obscuring all the background, but it is possible. Well, actually, no. If they are outside the range of fog, I don't think they'll draw. But when they're inside the fog range, we end up seeing them regardless. So the idea is this is all a factor of giant megastructure shapes. Right now they're basically like lengths of plywood, effectively. And they're blocking off all the background. But if I scale them up, they occupy pretty much all the size of the world, which has its ups and downs. But then any direction I go, I'm going to end up running into one of them. See? Fog is kind of producing a problem there, but the closer I get, yeah, the fog is producing an issue. Although, there's another hack I can do with that, I believe. Mesh instance. Here are these things. They're meant to be so far away that you can't even, the fog means nothing to them. So, let's see. I would quite like this to be a different appearance. I'm not satisfied with the blurry looking nonsense of this. Well, here's my material. Shading, it does have shading. And a diffuse, which doesn't have to be good. And I can disable fog. And disable specular, because why not? And albedo. Maybe loading a different texture would be more pleasing. What have I got already? I've got rock billboard, but that's not especially useful. What about rock micro? And can I do anything interesting? So it's darker now, so there's that. Per pixel shading. Here's the size of that. Good heavens, no. That's just going to be overridden anyhow. I thought I was working with the texture size there, and I was not. It's going to be mapping. And I'm also, I think, looking to... So that's probably fine. It's probably darker than I need, but that's okay. I know, I'll bump up the brightness knowing that it's already kind of dark. In fact, what I could do is bump up the brightness and intentionally, well, I don't know if I want to try to set it to the color of the purple fog. I feel like maybe no good could come of that. But I did want to play with, see, UV1, here we go. There, they are very large things, so it's mostly just going to be a kind of glitter. But if you get close enough to it, you get a texture. And that makes it kind of glittery. Repeat basically means you only have a delicate edge on it. Let's see where we're at. I've just made a bunch of changes. It'll do something. And what the heck? Let's just run it and see what we got. Okay, so our objects are no longer receiving fog. They are also on the dark side, probably. And we might not have any of them about. I'm moving towards that in the belief that it is an object, but it might not be. Oh, do I see something? Funny angles, areas of darkness, perhaps? Ooh, so much for me. Okay. We're going to try again and see if there is obvious things in space here, or if I need to scale everything back and make it all smaller. I had a lot of these in here before. Oh, that's something. It is a very dark something. Maybe I'm looking at it edge on. Approach the something. Mega structure. Some really fine detail. Can I go through it? No. I can go along it. At a very high rate of speed. And I still didn't get to the end. Ermagerd. Okay, this is a big old slab. What about this one over here? I see something there. Ah. I see you. You are also a big old slab. Big old slab of which I don't think I can get to the end of any convenient way. Oh, hang on. That's pretty weird looking. I don't think that's meant to be there. That's going to be the edge. These are just at a scale beyond the beyond. That is the edge, and this is the surface. So let's firstly skip this bit because we don't need it anymore. That was to determine how big universe image was. Oh dear, okay, we could go much bigger, but we're not actually calculating it outright to do that. Universe limit used to be like 50 to 90, and now it is just 4096 because we've got a giant 16 by 16 by 16 grid. Which is a lot. Granted, that's a lot. Well, if we did I'm trying to figure out whether I want to make these explicitly be never giant squares. If they need to take a consistent aspect ratio, that could be kind of neat. I could see that being a thing. And if block size was very small, and then we take that down to world size times 8, we'll see yet another something. Yeah, because I'm fairly open to the idea of this being mostly about the asteroids. But then there is still the chance, as you are derping around, flying around, trying to get asteroids and such, that you encounter these weird megastructures. So this does not appear to be me encountering weird megastructures. Which is fine. We'll try again. Some aspects of it were showing up okay. I will simply make a habit of going in a direction and seeing what that gets me. I feel like maybe I want a little more going on than that. Well, when I had it 0.01, there was a little more going on than that. And I've just scaled it back from 16 to 8, making everything smaller. Oh, I see something. This area looks very dark, as if there's a weird megastructure. So that becomes a scaling thing. Like if I look this direction, I see galaxy-looking stuff. But then over here, oh hey, that is jet black, which implies something is there. And then you discover, why yes indeed, something is here. It was directly above me. And the asteroids will bounce off it. You know, one concept I had at one point for a game was you were flying recon around something like this that was a giant spaceship, and you had to shoot the asteroids before the asteroids hit the spaceship. So it would be like this, except for you were ramming into asteroids to break them. Let's say how tall that is. That's arguably too tall. Also, I see another one off in the distance here, so past this one and over to this one. There it is. These edges are too fine. It looks very weird and disorienting. This part looks fine though, for the most part. Ooh, and now I'm out of power. Because we still have, oh, and you can see everything kind of, the instances. The instances are way smaller than, like, there's the ones they just shot, and there's the ones they just shot, and over there, there's the ones they just shot. This is like 3 times the size of the universe. So here's where block size comes in. If the range is 1/3 that, and then, well, this only runs on instantiation, so I can do this. Except for, gotta do it like that. I stand corrected like that. So that'll make it always larger than 1, but presumably a lot less than it was. And it only happens once per each of these, so that should go fairly well. Why no donuts in space? Because they dry out. How's that for an answer? And now let's see. And U size is still awfully enormous, so let's pull it back to 4. Okay. I see the shapes of objects. They sort of appearing out of the edges of things, but that's fine. Fly towards the object. Okay, I'm approaching it. See, it's areas of darkness against the void. Okay, I was looking over that one rather than under it, and the edge still looks very weird, so maybe what I'm going to do is fiddle with the... I mean, it does look kind of space-like. It does look kind of surrealistic. And they do come in all sizes, don't they? Oh no, I'm looking at the one side it's on. Oh, I went at that too fast, it bounced. Do you have a collider? You do not have a collider. Or do you? Or was I just going too fast? I was just going too fast. So that's potentially an argument that it is too thin. It's supposed to be able to track me going at it, but if it's too thin, I can go right through it without noticing. And there's another one over here. So yeah, we pretty much got these giant slabs in space. They are so impossibly large that they're getting in the way of the game. So we might be looking at, so U size, world size times 4, so that's scaling fairly well. Block size, that's where things can be updated a bit. Return this lab. Fair. If we make block size considerably smaller than that, that's going to scale the overall dimensions of everything. Probably meaning I don't need the square root in there anymore. And then if I continue to make this smaller, everything's going to be more localized. And we're still starting basically in the middle of it. There's also a whole extra thing I can do with this. But under these circumstances, we have asteroids and then just weird slabs in space. Now what would be really cool is if I could make that look like a spaceship. And bounce like a spaceship. Okay, so I can find them and they are consistently located. The thing is, it's relatively small, but as you continue to approach it, you realize, hey, that's actually really far away. And there it is. I went at it so fast, I bounced. And that time did I say bounced? That's the problem. I didn't bounce. I went right through because I was going too fast. So now we kind of see these things all over the place. But they're still actually very far. They have collision. I can scale them up all I want. They'll just continue to get impossibly larger. They're not subject to fog. So you see them anywhere they appear. But then asteroids kind of come into view as you start getting closer. Okay, that one was draw distance, I guess. towards the new one. There we go. And straight through it because I was going too fast. But you can bounce. So yeah, if I make these thicker, that will stop that problem. So here's something that I can do that might be amusing, seeing as they're so two-dimensional. We're just going to exaggerate these qualities. We're just going to make them the square root of themselves, which probably is going to have them be larger than square root of block size. Also, back over to here, the last few minutes of stream. The fact that I've got that in linear sampling, we could try nearest map. Nearest is going to make it more blocky. Nearest can also make it very noisy and flickery. And nearest map should give me at least something with it. We could also do a UV2. Assuming I have the second, there's bound to be a way that I can do that. So, next pass, that's calling for materials. We could do add UV2. Oh, no, that's part of custom AABB. Let me see now. Height mapping. Well, shucks, what if we did height mapping using the same texture? We can but try. Or an entirely separate texture that has nothing to do with anything. Let's see what we can do there. How about not that? How about height map scale is ridiculous? And there's our texture. And good enough for a start. Let's see what we got. And then it's going to be dinner time. But this was all pleasingly weird and strange. All right. Here's a slab. You know, I don't think height map is doing a damn thing for us. That part, oh, hello. Okay, so this is what you get with the recalibrated thickness, is that now is able to be quite a bit thicker than before. See another slab. Except for it's probably not a slab, or maybe. maybe it is. No, that's also a slab. It is a vertical plane. One thing about it, it does look pretty wild. Scaling is super bad. So let's fuss with that just one more little bit. And just for laughs, we'll make everything 10 times smaller than that. Complete waste of time doing that, so turn that back off. Backlight enabled, I don't know what that's going to do. Ooh, okay, this might be better. Detail texture. Albedo. We'll go with also rock micro, or maybe not. So what's going on here now is we're going to go and find where I set up the scaling of this one. Here's material, here's size, shading, diffuse, blah, 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 blah. Disabling fog is why it shows up as black unless you're really close. Color seems basically okay like this. We could darken it a little bit. Tempted to try to make it be purple. Just a hint of purple. And then I had I've got detail turned on. There's where UV is. So UV1. Here is a blend mode of add, same thing. And then that can be a much finer texture. Maybe not as fine as all that. Ooh, subtract will make everything really dark. So we'll multiply. And scale. Then UV2 is the thing that's being subtracted. And we can go for nearest neighbor sampling now that we're doing multiple stages of everything, and everything gets to have repeat. It's now past dinner time, but let's have one last look. That is an asteroid. I shall blow it up. Yeah, let's not blow it up. Let's go in search of a spaceship in the form of a giant slab. I think I see something that might look like one. Aha, I think I rescaled things too much. I think I'd better multiply that by 10. Then I'll see these things again. Ah, there we go. Yep, I see objects that are probably very far away. Aha. There's our object. That looks basically cool. Seems legit. I could maybe make that a little bit better. We might also have rescaled things in here. They might be showing up at a different size than I expect. Perhaps because I could be doing that with it. And also, before I'm quite done, let's do one final thing and see what it does. First, I'll make that finer. I think I've set it to use UV2. Okay, so the detail one is UV level 1. I feel like I should be assigning it to UV level 2, though. And I could presumably do a mask. Let's see what I can do with a mask. Okay, that's busier looking. If it was UV2, okay. I can't say as I see a change on that. But I do when I do this, but I shouldn't necessarily be using triplanar. Triplanar may not be my friend, even though I see something happening. Triplanar is giving me the fine detail on that I thought I was going to need to get. Well, if we don't do that, can I do a different blend mode and then it'll give me? UV1 becomes 8. UV2 is still 1024. Blend mode. And again, if I do triplanar, stuff happens that's pretty aggressive. That said, I don't know if I love it. Let's make that be real dark and then just crank it up, including taking away the purple tint. Because the final thing is re-enable fog. And then I'm going to go and have tacos because it's 5:09 already. And I shouldn't be doing this like this. But what the hey, I got started so late. I see a square looking thing. That's going to be a fog feature. It appears to still be fog. And then we finally start approaching it. Okay. Kind of neat. What would be amusing is if it was taking the texture that you're searching for. I don't know how feasible that is. But this is becoming a capacity for making large ship-like objects. I feel like they could be oriented more like side to side rather than tending to be pointing way up or down. So you'd approach them and it wouldn't look necessarily all that big if you're mostly going from side to side, but then they might be incredibly long. Here's one. That's another fog factor right there. And as we approach it, blink. So the resizing of it is stretching it in a funny way. I feel like what would be particularly delightful is if I was able to make these act like they were spaceship texture. Currently, that's not what I'm seeing. Although that does have some like nice stretched out detail. You could pretend those are windows or something, I don't know. Alright, see you later, Chad. I'm basically done. We're done for the day. But I am liking the way that we can have this, and it's so big that its distances fade off into fog. Like that. That makes it look like a large thing. Up into space, where there will be other large objects. So hang on. As always, I'm fooling with this so much. What might my rotations be? So I can make size be much smaller so I can deal with this in some way. We can make the proportions of them just a little bit larger. And then rotation, rather than being opalescent, because that rotated it in every direction, can be a new vector. Oops, nope. Vector 3. And we'll figure out which one of these rotations will actually give me like twirl effects so that they'll all be steering differently but not pointing up and down crazily. And we will simply do that by punching universe counter into one of these directly, because if you rotate a cajillion times, it'll just twirl and be a different angle. Okay, those all are vertically aligned. I'm not necessarily looking to have slabs in space. I'm looking to have these basically be all flat. That way they will look more like spaceships in space. So if rotation goes from there, okay, now they all tilted in funny directions. Closer. Well, we're forcing some of these floats to be smaller, so if we forced one of these parameters always to be smaller, and presumably that will replace the need for this. So let's try this. Oops. Let's assume y is our vertical parameter. Then the magic comment the entire thing out, and we go from there. First by seeing what happens when rotation is never anything. Alrighty, that has made everything look a lot more flat. And that's what I was hoping. Looks like we are looking at things as if they are flying. And then the next step becomes rotating. Is it this parameter that they must be rotated around? Already got there. So they're still mostly giant obelisks. So you know what we can do there is make that, it keeps filling in the extra parenthesis. So if we make both of those be square root, then only one aspect of it is going to be what it is supposed to be. And well, let's just quickly see what we got. Okay, they're all long fellows. They're all long boys. Or vertical slabs, apparently. So it's a vaguely spaceship-like look, but not really. And I told people I was going to stop doing this. Rather than that, we lose that, And then instead, we'll just go by making it usually about a 4:1 ratio. What do we got now? I think we have me needing to run that again because now I don't see anything. These are the challenges. Purple Billows is a darker one, so... okay, now glowy. So I see a bunch of things that could be vaguely spaceship-shaped or could be sort of big square-shaped. And then the question becomes making them huger. Or making them cooler, making them something that isn't simply an oblong. But the rotation factor seems to be working. It's just that our scaling of the texture does not. But that's fine. That's fine. We'll get around it. And then if you run with that and then make the size be 8 or 16 times the size we've got, we start getting may or may not see one immediately, or it might be just too far away. We have the capacity for there to be giant spaceships off in the distance rather than just these asteroids. But it'll take a while to run into one of them. If at all, Sahara should be giving me something. That is a light-colored texture. I will randomly try something else. We'll run it again. Art Deco Stucco Parrot. Alright, there should be something that shows up from here. Scanning the distance. Everything is too far. Picking a random direction. In hopes of being surprised by one of my glorious megastructures that I've been trying to create. Yeah, I might have scaled up too much. I have to go too far to reach one of them. Go too fast. That was going into hyperspace. That's putting on so much speed that there's no ability to respond to anything. And then you just end up hitting one of the rocks. Or hitting the brakes, rather. Okay, well that's neat, but that's not showing me what I wanted. I do want to end with one final cool thing to look at. So let's go from 16 to 12. Not all the way back to 8, but... And let's scan around and see if there's anything that looks like a geometric shape outlined in nothing but cloud. Or fog, rather. Oh, do I see something? No, that's not anything. Exploring this asteroid field, you'd think I'd run into a damn megastructure. We've got 4,000 of them in this world. It's just taking me too far to get to any of them. The way that goes, it would probably take you an hour to get to the edge of the field anyhow, so that part's probably fine. Hitting the brakes rapidly as I seem to be in the verge of running into an asteroid. Don't want that. Flying up, still no luck. So what we do is we leave it at 12, but we increase the size by this much. And we keep on seeing whether we can get to anything. Chill gray. So randomness should present me with something at some point. I mean, I'm happy with the idea that it's not spawning me in the middle of a giant obelisk. That part seems cool, but I am less enthusiastic about the paucity of these damn things. I thought I made enough of them. They are all too far away. That was a close call. Okay, I give. How about not 12? How about 8? 8 was still pretty huge. It really was. Mind you, I had been dialing them back lots, so a lot of that measurement was like on the basis of 1 or 2. Compared to that, 8 is still pretty big. Ooh, so much for me that time. Alright, let's restart at level 1. Then I should be able to go even faster. Not as many of the rocks. And technically, I could just go full blast until I hit asteroids. And then restart. This one, now we're looking for 2 blue. Again, there's 4,000 of these damn things out there. Wow, okay, that was a violent impact. There's another deep blue. Okay, let's hit another asteroid. I went through warp speed without even meaning it. Wow, ultra warp. Ultra mega super warp. That was a violent impact. Maybe that... Oh, I see a dark shape. Could that be? My speed was like beyond mega warp. That's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, I keep not seeing these damn things. What's going on? Are they not rendering or something? Are they not being added? Can I go find one of these dumb spaceships that I put in the world? They're supposed to fill... Well, one possibility is simply that I'm using a square root factor in here in various ways, which is going to cause it to continue to shrink. So that's maybe something of a concern. Let's go back to guaranteed being able to see them because the scale of everything is way smaller. There they are. So if we go to 4, I do have that square root factor in. And now I really don't feel like I can see anything out there, but I should be able to get to something simply by moving a little bit. Yeah, again, the size of these objects seems to be related to the overall scaling, but then at the same time I have a square root factor which is restricting the maximum size even as the total size expands. Fascinating. So I'm effectively making it so that they don't actually exist anymore. Ooh. Well, that did some damage. Let's rerun that again. Let's scale it back to 3 rather than 4, because 2 was basically fine. And just for laughs, let's scale the overall size too. Things can become slightly larger relative to this overall size. Oh, okay, now I can see 1 or 2 of these things. That is a megastructure. So is that. Ooh, I died. So we got that working okay. Let's scale that again and scale that to 4 from 3. Let's see if we got it into a zone where we can see what's happening. Ah, okay, we're at 4, and you do get a sense of how huge that is by accelerating towards it, and then it doesn't, like nothing happens. You're blasting in its direction. Ooh, interesting. Colored effects. Don't quite know why it's doing that, but it's doing it. Going sideways on, you do get a sense of there's something out there, and it's on the huge side. It needs to have spaceship textures to be right. Goes to show you how far away it is. And that shows you how far away it is too. We're blowing that stuff up. And it's the same as these ones over here. it is relative to the bots. And now I'm out of juice. Okay, good. And it's 5:30. I'm done. I am done for the day. But given I didn't have lots of time today, but I still got a couple of things. We made giant slabs flying in space that are bigger than you'd think. Pretty much all I need to do is continue to scale them up, and that ought to work pretty effectively. I'm really not quite sure why the scaling is working the way that it is, but we're in the right general vicinity. We do stuff like this. You can scale that like that and pick different block sizes. Block sizes seem to be related to this, and we can scale these factors together. Like that, and when we scale those factors together, you can still kind of, you have half a chance of having one of these things be appearing out there somewhere, although asteroids materialize in the way, because it's not really as close as you think. Everything is farther away than you think. Yeah, the texture needs to be way more finely grained. And there you have it, made out of stuff like this. And I'm calling a halt before it's 6 this time. But, yeah. We should have a fun weekend. I'm going to drop something exciting this weekend. And then maybe we'll continue to play with this next week. We'll see. I do have more coding things to do. But yeah, it's all a matter of like, what more can we do? And for now, I'm going to go and have my tacos before it's like 6 or 7 or 8 or something crazy like that. And I'll check in with you folks this weekend. Should be fun.